Okay, so this will be the kind of the final video on the Corvette. So what you guys have to do for a grade on this, I kind of outlined it. It's the last PDF on the page of Canvas, so I thought maybe we'd go through that real quick in case you didn't see it. Okay, so it basically has a bunch of steps, and we're already through lofting all the body. So you do have to try to fill up the body. That's requirement number one, in addition, of course, to building the body, and then try to shell the body. Now, most of the time that does not work. Okay, at least 3/4 of the time when I do it, it doesn't work. So we went through that last video. It doesn't like sharp edges and things like that, and quick changes, which a lot of these have going on in there. Okay. You got to loft something. Well, most of you are lofting the body of the car, so that you're covered there. But we do have to do a swept feature. So you can do a rear spoiler or an exhaust muffler type thing, or you can do a mirror. I'll probably do a mirror in the video today. Once that's all done, you can do add decals and colors, which I kind of did that in the last video. You can drag them in your browser down below the mirror if it doesn't look good. So I'll show you that in the video too as well. I do have an Inventor used to offer flow design, which was a really cool item. It lets you do aerodynamics on items you just did, which was, and showed you the drag coefficients on them. They quit sporting it though, so it doesn't really work very well anymore. If I can get it to work, I'll show you, but I know they quit sporting it a year or two ago, and I don't think I was able to get it to go last year. So you can ignore number 6. If you're really interested in that, you could probably download the old version of Inventor Educational and download the flow if you can find it. I do have a higher end version that's out there. I haven't messed with that yet. Then the last thing, main thing we're going to be doing today, besides doing the sweep, is we're going to add wheels. And you can add a shaft. The main thing is adding the wheels. You don't have to add the shaft, okay, unless you want to make a roll on there or something like that. So basically, and then 3D print everything, or add a drawing and then 3D print it. Okay. So that's all the items that are required on there. The wheels and stuff do need to be added in an assembly, of course. So, all right, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so to add the mirror in here, let me pull up one of my images here so you can kind of see where the mirror is. Hopefully. Okay, you can probably see the best in this side view. So it looks like it's got probably something similar to, now I'm not going to make it exactly like this, but I'll make it close, okay? And you can do the same. So it looks like it's probably got an ellipse down here on that plane, and then it's lofted straight, almost straight up to another one. I'll probably curve it around to make it more aerodynamic, but then it'll be probably another, maybe an ellipse up here. If I look to the front view, you'd probably see it better. And then the mirror itself, which would probably be its own little part. Okay, so it's swept probably. I'm going to sweep ellipse to another ellipse along a path that I define, and you have to do the same. Now you can do the same thing with a wing. You could make a profile of the wing shape and sweep it around half to another side there. Okay, so. This is more of a loft here with a path again, because it's basically going from one pace to another. Now, as long as you loft with a path, I'm fine with it instead of sweeping with a path, because they are basically the same thing, except sweeping goes from one shape along a path, lofting goes from one shape to another shape along a path. So it's actually more complicated. So this mirror, it's definitely got a couple shapes in here, so it would be hard to. It would be hard to do that with pure sweep. Okay. Now, if you're doing a wing, you could have maybe I'll put a wing on this thing to show you that sweep would work better with that. Okay. This mirror is more of a separate loft. Okay. I'll just do both real quick here. I don't know how well they'll work, but we'll give it a shot. Okay. So let's look at the mirror. So when you do the mirror, you need a plane to start with, okay? So I'm going to go into like a hidden view real quick here, view, hidden, or visual style, wireframe, so I can see everything. And I kind of noticed before that it was it was basically, this plane was round where the mirror is. You can go back and forth it there if you want to, shade it with edges. I could probably do it shade it with edges too. Okay, so I'm gonna make a plane right around here, and then on that plane I will put the mirror. And you can see the mirror's kind of getting with this decal, it's really getting messed up bad. So back to 3D model, I need a plane there to put my first sketch on. Now I need another plane to put another sketch on. Okay, and I'll show you how to create a couple of them real quick. So one of the definitions of a plane, of course, is 3 points in space. So I'll pick 3 points on this one. I don't know what else would work. It'd be pretty tough to do some of these other ones. So I'm gonna pick 3 points. And there's a nice flat on here. You could also go flat all the way across the car on edges, but I've got a flat there. So I'm gonna pick like and it can start out inside the car. It's not a big deal. It just needs to be. In fact, it might work better if it's inside the car. Then you want to have an airspace in there. So I'm going to go actually from these 3 points right here. Okay, so there's a small little plane I just created there. All right, you can't see it unless you go down here because it's basically inside there just a little bit. Okay, so and it's shown real small, but remember it goes on it indefinitely into space. So I'm going to put the sketch at the bottom of my mirror on that. Now I need a sketch basically perpendicular to that to create my cross section on. Okay, so to make one of them, let's see if we can figure it out. So parallel, midpoint, through normal to curve, normal through axis, through point, tangent, 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 go 3 points. All right, so now I need to create a plane for my path. So I'm going to do angle to plane. I'll just do 90 degrees to plane around edge. So I'm going to pick that one. And first thing it says select line or plane. Well, there's no line or plane in here. So maybe I can make an axis first. Axis. There's that plane. So I'm making that axis through those 2 points. I'm dropping down the axis. And I'm going to put through 2 points. And there's no points on there, so then I got to create a point. So this is how you kind of build it up. So there's that plane. I'll make that thing, it already is visible. Go back to hidden so I can actually see it decent. View, visual style. It's a little tricky here. Wireframe. There's that plane I created right here. Okay, so I'm going to put some points on there. 3D sketch. Points, and right on the corners of it, I'm going to try to create a point. It lets me. Not one there. Okay, there. I wasn't actually on the point. I was on that plane. So I'm going to the point of where those. I'm creating points on the intersections of all those edges. Okay, now this is a plane, so I couldn't of course put a point on there. Now I've got points basically on. I keep hitting it. I wish it would stick, but it doesn't. There we go. I got 4 points on there. Now I can create an axis through there hopefully. So axis through 2 points. Okay, now I've got an axis on there and a plane, so I can hopefully use those to generate another perpendicular plane. Do you think they'd have one that'd be perpendicular a lot easier, but I don't see it. Mid plane between, parallel, offset. These are all offsets. Angle around edge. Okay, select a line. We've got that line. Select plane. Not selecting any of that stuff. This isn't working out very well. Alright, I'm not having much luck making that plane, so I'm going to do an offset from plane after I create another one. So back to 3 points, because that always works. And just going to pick a point right here, and then I'll pick one up here. Okay, and I'll do offset that one slightly. Now I'll do a plane offset from that one, maybe about 3 inches. It's going towards me, it looks like. Okay, it looks like that's going to cross there. I'm going to spin it and make sure. Definitely is not crossing that. So maybe more like 1. And now it looks like it crosses through that other plane, which is important for me to draw on. So now I've got a path and a plane to start with. Okay. So to do a loft, so this is just going to be the stem of, I'm just going to do the stem of the sweep, I'm sorry, the stem of the mirror. All right, so I'm going to draw the stem on here, new sketch. Okay, and it's kind of hard to see, but it's over here in this area, I think. Sure I'm on the right side, there it is. Okay, because you got to kind of keep where you're at. Drop this down, ellipse. My size ideas here, so there's that plane right here. And that's where I'm drawing at. It's kind of hard to see it, but that's where I'm drawing at. So I'm going to do an ellipse here. I'll probably just move it after the fact. It's too big, I think. It's not too bad. So I finish that sketch. Make sure it looks like it's about in the right place. It's hard to tell when you're over the top of it because it puts you in another area. Then on that other plane I made, I'm going to give it a path. So new sketch onto that. And this will be a path on this one, and it needs to basically go through here. So I'm going to project that point, project geometry, and project this point. And that'll be my starting point if it'll let me. There it is. Okay. And now I need to draw basically a path for it. So I'm going to, arcs usually work pretty good, so I'm going to start out with that. I'm drawing on that other plane and going to give it a path for my mirror stem, basically. So this is the end. On the side view so I can see what I'm doing a little bit better. Even though I'm drawing on that other plane. I'm drawing on this plane right here, but it's on the side view of it. So, something like that. Okay. Now I'd put it probably, maybe attach a small base or attach the mirror to this when it's done. But this is basically a sweep, a profile along a path. Okay, so now I'm going to try to sweep it, which is very similar to the lofting, except it's one along a path. So there's my profile selected, and it says select a curves for to follow, so I'm picking that because it found the one. Now that's too big, I'd probably go in there and change that sketch later, but I hit OK. Okay, so that is supposed to be just the stem of the mirror. Now, when I go back in the edges, hopefully you can see it. Now, it's definitely too big, but hopefully it's roughly the right side. View, visual style, shade with edges. So you kind of get the idea. All right, now I'm going to probably go in there and shrink that down. It's definitely too thick, but I was just trying to draw that stem, okay? Now I'd place a mirror on the end of this face, any shape I want, okay? Because that's definitely a plane right there. Okay, and I could put a mounting surface on the bottom of this plane if I wanted to be part of that, and then mirror to the other side if you have a second mirror. Okay, but that's one of the requirements, is try to put in sweep, which is a little bit tough. Okay, wheels and tires. I'm going to save this thing. Wheels and tires are pretty easy. I'm going to go file, new assembly. So we've done a couple wheels and tires with the skateboard before. This one's actually much easier. Place, bring in the Corvette or your car, right click, place it grounded at origin. Okay. Just one of them. Go back so you can see everything. So go to the view, visual style, and turn it to a wireframe. Okay. Now over here, I can't see everything, so I'm going to do the same thing, and I've got a lot of things hidden on this thing. Well, I need to see that middle view to be able to draw my tires and wheels. So I go back up here to where I created it, which was probably sketch 2. Okay, there's sketch 2. I'm going to right click and make that visible. And both the sketch and the image have to be visible before you can see it. Now I can see the wheel. I already have the depth cut into the car for how far it goes in there, so I'm just going to use that for how big my wheels are. You could also get the side view so you can see how wide they are, but I don't think I need that. Okay, so now it's showing up here. All right, now I'm going to create it. Okay, so you need a plane if you don't have one already on the outside of it. You probably have one, because if you created the wheels, you probably have one. So I'm going to go make that visible if I can find it. There's so many planes in here, sometimes it's hard to do. But there's a plane. When I did my cutouts for my wheels, which was an extrusion. There's my wheels right there, so it's probably on that first one sketch. There's the work plane. So I'm gonna make that visible. That's the one I used to cut out my wheels. It was about around the extrusion that I did to cut out, so you can see where it's at. So I'm gonna use that same one to basically create my wheels. Now, granted, they're gonna stick out a little farther, but that's fine. Okay, so now I'm gonna save this so it shows up in my assembly. Okay, there it is in my assembly. Right. So I had to activate a few things back in my assembly that I hid earlier. But that's kind of typical for what you're going to have to do too. All right, so now I'm ready to basically make those wheels. So on this plane here, how do I create that plane? Let's see here, assembly. So I'm right-clicking on that one and picking new sketch and see if it'll let me make one on it, because it didn't want to pick it when I had it earlier. So now I'm creating, I did it over here in the browser. I probably could have picked new sketch and then it would let me pick it. Let's just see if it does. So I went back to where I was and I'm picking new sketch. Well, I got to pick create first of all. Getting ahead of myself here. Okay, so we're creating the wheel and tire next. I guess I'll do the tire first. And then the wheel after that. So I go to create and tire, all caps. If you create a project, it should be going to the right place, like mine is. If it didn't, make sure it's going to the right place. I hit OK. Now, once I know a plane to put it on, what's it going to be on the same plane I've just been using. Well, I kind of got ahead of myself on that. Sorry about that. So now I'm basically creating a tire on that plane. Okay. And more of a tire and a rim. Now you can make these into one part. I'm not going to tell you can't, because you can color them. If you want to make them in two, that's fine. Either way is good, because you're probably going to 3D print them together. So I'm going to assume most of you are going to make them as one piece. So I'm going to do the tire wheels one assembly. All right, so now I'm in this. I'm not in that sketch yet, because I just basically created my part. Okay, 2D sketch, 2D sketch. Back to that same plane. Okay, seems like I'm on the wrong side of it, and I am, so I don't like that. All right, I'm spinning it around so I can see it better. Now you basically try to draw that shape. It's close. You know, we're not going to spend as much time on this wheel as we did the other one, so we'll kind of keep it simple. Just go to circle. Okay, it should be roughly the right size when you get done. So I'm going to find the center of this. There's a couple ways to find the center of this. You can just use your sketch if you want, as long as you followed it closely. Okay, or you can find the center. You can project one of those arcs that you had earlier, like project geometry, and it should be an arc here that you used to make this wheel. There's mine. It looks like I made it a little bit small. I did it on purpose because I didn't like the way my fairings were coming out. So I better, unless I want my tire going inside this thing, which is not going to fit the way I'm going to do it, I'm going to project that. And that'll give me a center point to use. Okay, now I should have a center of that now. So I projected my fender wall there. Okay, now I'm going to go up to circle, hover over this, and I would think I could find the center. Well, is there a 3-point circle here? Tangent. It's not letting me do that either. Should be able to draw a new arc on it maybe, so I can finally get a center point here. There, so I had to draw an arc over the top of the projected one to get the center point, which is very annoying, but that's what it made me do. All right, now I go to circle, and create my new wheel. So my new wheel doesn't match that one a lot because I didn't like the way my fender flares worked out. So you can adjust yours as needed to match it. Now I don't want to tire that big either. So I'm kind of playing a game here, but it's all right. That's what you got to do sometimes. Make it more realistic. Make sure it's centered on there. Okay, that's pretty close to what I want right about there. I don't want it gigantic. It just won't look realistic. I didn't put it anywhere, so now I can grab the center point and move it around a little bit. Okay, that looks pretty close. Okay, so I've got that. Now I'm going to do an offset because I want my rim to stick out, or my tire to stick out a little bit. So I'll make it roughly that size. All right, so this will be my wheel, or my tire, and now I'm going to make my rim back a couple inches and probably do the cutouts to kind of match this old chrome wheel they have on there. So finish sketch, and then I'm going to extrude, And I'm just going to do this part here sideways so I can actually see it. And now it's hard to see how big my car is, so I'll probably switch it back. So I'll go 12 to start out with. A 12-inch wide wheel is pretty big. So I'm doing 12. Okay. Now the car is hidden here. I can probably make it show up. All right, clicking on visibility is on. I'm just going to hover over it. It shows up. So I should have made that bigger. So double click on it. And then go to make it a little bit bigger, maybe 14. That's close enough. Work. Yep. Compare it to my car. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I like that. All right. Now basically you want to make another plane for your rim on a little farther past. So I go plane, offset from plane. Maybe my tire sticks out an inch or two, so I'm gonna put 2 inches so it's more visible. I'm gonna make my rim match on that. Okay. So to make your rim, and then you can copy these on all 4 places if you want, okay, or mirror them across the middle of the car. Copy them would probably be easier, or drop another one in and just put it where it needs to be. Okay. Sure I'm on that right plane, I guess I am. Yep. Okay, so the rim would be something very similar. So I'm going to draw, probably project that geometry, project geometry, to get the inside. That'll be my outside of my rim. Do an offset to get the size of the rim, so that looks like it's about an inch or two. So I don't know, say right about there. And then I'm going to basically draw lines, maybe another circle in there actually for the inside. I might do the inside later. I'm going to try to create this cutaway, and then I'll add a spoke probably and rotate that around. Okay, so I'm going to do 2 more circles. So that's going to be a cutaway. I need a cutaway from there. So the center of this is right here. Okay, so I'm going to cut this part of it out. Okay. And I'm going to add this part in all the way through. And then I'll put a spoke all the way around when I'm done. So finish sketch. And then this thing is 2 inches less, so I'm going to extrude that through. So extrude, and that was the outside, so that's my rim. And it was 14 before, but it's 2 inches less now since it's going into the wheel, so I'll put 12. And that one's done. I'm on a hidden line, so it's hard to see here, but that way I can see my picture. I'm about done with this thing. Now the last one I need to cut this out, so I'm going to have to share that sketch. So I pick over here, right click over that sketch, share it. And I'm going to extrude, cut that into it, extrude that, cut through all, so it's going the right direction, which it looks like it is, and hit OK, so that's cut out of it. It didn't cut through anything. Oh, because there's nothing in there to cut into there. That's right, I should have just yeah, that's still empty on there. Okay, so this is the inside of it. This is this part here. So I'm going to go ahead and put that all the way through, just solid it all the way through. There we go. Other direction, 12 inches. Distance, 12 inches. Okay. All right, so now I've got solid in there. If I get out of the view and back into shaded, you should be able to see it. All right, so there's the start of my wheel. Now I'm going to basically add a spoke and rotate it around there. Maybe put some fillets on it. So that's pretty simple. I'll do one more and then you guys can do this on your own. So new sketch. Simple spoke. It's trying to go straight here, so I'm just going to draw a line like, I don't know, like, I don't really like where that's at. So maybe from here to here, and I'll trim it in a minute. From here to across the center, tie a line there, line, construction. I've got a center line, trim that up, trim. I have to project those other lines, project geometry. So I have to project that one and project that one. Trim. rid of that, get rid of that, mirror it over. Did not mirror, why not? Try again here, mirror my line, pick my mirror line, apply, done. Okay, I should have enough to extrude that in, finish sketch. Extrude that 3 inches deep maybe, so 3D model, extrude, and it's not finding it. Okay, I'm probably going to have to create an arc in there to make it find that. Typically, the more things you fight here. So an arc, it doesn't like using projected items. So I'm going to create an arc in there to make sure it's fully enclosed shape. Finish sketch, now it should find it real easy. So extrude. So it's picking that whole thing every time because I shared that darn sketch. So then the way to get around that is you hover over it. If you can't, it's letting me select it finally there, but if not, if you hover over long enough, like I'm going to here, then you get an option, okay? And you get a pick, okay? Now I want to go in the other direction. I just want it 3 inches deep, and I can put radiuses on the outside to make it look like a spoke, okay? And it looks like it went to a darn cut. So I switch it over to solid. Make sure it's going the right direction. Hit okay. So I put a fillet on this and a fillet on that, and then I would rotate it around here. So fillet, maybe a 1-inch fillet. Not liking that at all for some reason. Seems like it'd be a simple, did one of them, but it won't do the other. It's too big. Fillet, 3.5. They were hitting each other, I think, was the problem. Still not liking it. All right. I'm going to mess with that a little bit here. And see if I can get it to work and then rotate it around. So fillet, 1/2 inch. Sometimes you go all the way around, it'll work a lot better. It's not. So I could play with that a while and try to get it to work, but I just wanted to show you guys how to rotate it around, so I'm going to do that real quick here. So rotating it around is pretty easy. All of you should know how to do that, right? It is basically array. Pick the item. Pick the rotational axis, which is basically anything that's round. Tell it how many you want. I don't know how many were in the original picture. I can look. It's like 5. 5. And okay. So now I've got my wheel and tire, all right? I could put a shaft hole in there so I could actually put a shaft on this thing and it'll roll. Probably be a good idea to put like a 3 or 4 inch shaft hole in there. And then you could basically put a drill bit or something in there if you want to get this thing to actually move. And then I put a fillet on the outside of this so it looks more like a tire. Change the colors to black with the colors like we did earlier. Okay, and change the rim to chrome. And then I'll show you the finished version of that eventually. So I offset that spoke 1/2 inch so that would let me fill it all the way around it. I suppress the spoke and then fillet it all the wheel tires. Now I'm going to move that fillet to above the action over here, and then I'm going to unsuppress it. Hopefully it'll work. There we go. So it's starting to look a little bit better. So on your wheels, if you want to pattern them to get it to the right position, that's kind of an easy way to get one of them to if you design one of them to put it over here. So I'm picking the wheel, I'm on a pattern. I go over here to the direction, pick like column. Just looking for a direction to go here. So I can pick an axis for that. Would probably be my best bet. Origin. Maybe the Z-axis. Y-axis looks like it's going the right direction. So the distance in here, and quantity is 2, and distance be negative 100 to start out with. Pretty good guess. It's about the right place actually. So I put 100 inches over, hit OK. Then I mirror it across the middle plane. So I find my middle plane, which is probably one of my original planes. That one. So I go mirror. I grab those 2 wheels and turn them to yellow so it doesn't create a new one. Mirror plane. And I've got to grab the original plane here. It's the middle of that one. Probably that one. Definitely not that one. Back to mirror plane. That's the one I want right there. Okay. And see what looks right. It does. Next. No new parts. Okay. Okay, so it's starting to look like it now. You got your 4 parts set up, so you bring that into a drawing and do a standard drawing with bill of material, overall sizes only, and balloons. And that turn that in, and that will be finished. Okay, and then 3D print it if 3D printer is available. You right there? I'll put a sketch on the front of this. It's not real straight, but maybe it'll work. Circular mirror again. Maybe an oval one. I'll make that bigger later. Get outside the vehicle. Sketch. Plane's definitely not going to work where it's at. So what I can do with that is probably delete that sketch. And find the middle plane. Do an offset from that one. Drag it till it's in the right spot. It's only that here to be straight anyway. Make sure it's cutting through that and extrude it out. On that one, do a sketch on there, new sketch. there. All right, so when you're done with it and you're happy with it, I think I've got everything from the list done. I'm ready to bring it into the drawing. Okay, so basically file, open up your template. Change size over on the sheet to B or C size, whichever you prefer. C will print out better if you want to print one. I did B there, and then go to base and bring in your assembly, which mine found it because it was open, but make sure it's the full assembly. Make sure it's the view you want. I probably want the side view to start out with. And I don't know, pick the best side. Like that. It's doing shaded with edges. I don't know if I can turn edges off. Change scale to something more realistic. The 25 works good. Let's start out. I don't really like that either. That, I guess. 3 views. 4 views, I mean. We move them around as needed. I guess bill of material will be next. If it looks right, go and double click on it, get rid of the description if you want to. Column chooser, description, remove, okay. And then add your balloons. Auto balloons are the easiest. Do it on there. Select placement. Gotta pick up components first of all. Placement down here. Looks good. Okay. Make sure you label the views. Front, top, side. I want to color these windows too so they look a little bit better from the back. Front, top, side, 3D view, and put the overall dimensions on it. So overall dimensions just 3, length, width, height, right? And make sure you label the views. I think that's all that's left on this. Make sure you update your drawing, save your drawing and then update it, save it to something else, right? You just save, and then after you get done saving it, make sure you update the outer property so the title block is correct.